16 episodes of The Talking Guys. Well, I was going to say I premiered, but yeah, maybe that's right. So yeah, we're 16 episodes in. Crazy.
We are.
Yeah,
So
4
crazy.
away from the is 20 considered a milestone, or is that 10?
Can we just get to
I
episode
mean,
20?
I think if we're going by birth dates, 21 is probably the milestone.
Is it a milestone every 5? So like 10,
No.
15, 20?
Now you're
or-
starting to sound like my ex. We don't celebrate,
Yeah, we don't celebrate
mid-year
5.
anniversary or
Okay.
whatever. No.
Wait, so what has a bigger significance for us? Episode 10 or episode 20?
Episode 3, episode 5, episode all the prime numbers. That's the special ones. Those are one that have real meaning in the scientific world.
16 is a prime number, right?
No, it's not.
Yes,
2
it
times
is. No,
8.
it is.
Not a prime number.
It is a prime number. You cannot divide 16 by any other number.
So 11 was a big one. 17.
11 actually might have been our biggest
17
episode.
will be another one.
No lie.
So next episode is a big one.
So
19
basically what you're saying is we'll have to wait next week and find out.
19 is going to be huge. The greatest episode we've ever made. Huge.
19?
Just the greatest. Yes.
3 weeks. Okay.
It's going to be the most
It's
greatest.
going to be great.
The most best is greatest of all
Best
ever.
we've ever had.
Mhm.
Yes. It's going to be
Cool.
great.
All those grammar words.
This has
together.
been an intro.
Huge episode
Just
on 19. Huge.
want to quickly say, hope everyone had a great 4th of July weekend. Hope everyone practiced their social distancing. Hope everyone drank responsibly. So
Okay, so how are you supposed to drink responsibly and do social distancing? Like,
you can do
No.
both, right?
no,
Well,
no,
it was an art,
no.
but I kind of did like little spin moves, and I would just like spin around people, left and right as I was
I
drinking.
got one of those bubbles, like, it hooks around your waist. It's like a ring or whatever that nobody can get within. And then I went running down Bourbon Street, just knocking people over.
Nice. Okay, so that is how he spent his 4th of
Bourbon
July.
Street.
That sounds
We've
really
been
responsible.
We're not.
I'm making this up. Would you really think I would wear a little ring thing?
I do. Actually, I wouldn't put it past
actually
you.
did. Everything
No.
sounded legit. until
I
you said
wouldn't, because I don't like drawing attention to myself. I want to be like, the invisible person in the crowd. That would do the opposite.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah.
gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Well, okay, so 4th of July food talk. Hot dogs or hamburgers?
Hamburgers.
You can't have one without the other.
I think you can.
No, if you can't have a cookout without, it's hot dogs
Okay.
and hamburgers on the grill. If you only do one, you're only half-assing it and step your game up.
Okay. Wait.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
What kind of hot dogs is this? Okay.
They're grilled hot dogs. I mean, just like all American beef hot dogs.
Are they ballpark? Are they Nathan's? Are they kosher?
If you were saying like a Polish sausage or like something like real, like
That's
a
not
bratwurst,
a hot dog,
like,
dude.
yeah,
That's not. No.
I would be down
Hey,
with
brats aren't considered hot dogs, though, Pat.
that. Okay, well then no. Hamburgers. 100,000,000%.
No.
Yeah.
For if you're going for the all American meal, like just 4th of July meal, hot dog, hamburger, potato
All
salad.
American, like we talked last week about baseball. Is that what you eat at baseball games, Seth? Is hot dogs?
I do eat hot dogs at baseball games.
It doesn't go to baseball.
They're actually kind of amazing.
I don't
at-
watch baseball. I will go to those games. I enjoy
Yeah,
the
just
atmosphere.
for the overpriced food, right?
Hot dogs are usually $1 or something like that. Like,
Where? Not at the ballpark here.
the only times I ever go, they are.
Okay.
maybe
well,
I-
yeah, they have dollar hot dog night, but
I guess that's the only time I ever go. I don't know, because I mean, getting anything else, including just straight up water, you're paying like $10. But I usually go. I guess maybe I only go when they're having hot dog sales. It's not intentional, but
I don't want hamburgers or hot dogs. Give me a steak. Okay? I'm a real man. We don't
well, okay. So Ranger Games, I don't know what the price is going to be for the new ballpark that has been built because the
$3?
games haven't started yet. But I'm pretty sure it was like $425 at the what do they call it? Ameriquest Field Ballpark in Arlington, whatever. They kept changing the name, but where the Rangers used to play, I think it was like $425 for like a hot dog. Well worth it though, because the hot dogs there are incredible. Yeah, they're delicious. Yeah, they're really good.
For a hot
they're
dog?
not.
It took 10
They're
cents
literally
to
they're. So I have worked in a concession stand at the ballpark. They are. I'm not going to tell you their brand because that's just, I don't want to ruin their secret, but they are hot dogs you can get from any grocery store.
Probably.
Right. There's nothing special about them. What are you talking about? Y'all are insane.
It's the experience.
Something about the experience and the bun. The bun is slightly steamed and it's not like soggy.
Yeah,
but it's not like...
they use steamers for them, but they're in
delicious.
and out so fast that they they don't ever get soggy.
Yeah, it's more about the experience. But the hot dogs are good. But yeah, no, so you sir, you would take steak over a burger.
Yeah, hands down. Who?
Yeah, but I'm saying that was never an option.
Steaks on 4th of July.
Never an option.
Lame people have hamburgers and hot dogs because that's about the least amount of effort you can put into making food.
That's what you're supposed to do.
I'm lame.
Grill with the family or the friends or whoever you're with.
Or you actually use grill skills and grill yourself.
You don't. No, steak is not a 4th of July meal.
Or some ribs, steak.
No. If you're talking,
smoked chicken, do something real.
If you're talking like that, if you want to go that far of the spectrum, no. Okay, so steak is not a 4th of July option. You have like brats, you have sausage, you have brisket or pulled pork, hamburgers and hot dogs. Yeah, that's all 4th of July stuff. Yeah.
I cannot believe I'm having this conversation with you. There is no such thing as 4th of July food. It's good food. You either make good food or bad food, okay? No.
Yeah, 4th of July food is typically like grilled food. Steak is a grilled food, but it's more of a reserved.
Like you have a turkey and a ham, and you make cranberry sauce and stuffing. 4th of July does not have that. It's just, a lot of times you might go out because you're shooting fireworks off and stuff. So it's outside. So you make food. Anything you can make on the grill is a 4th of July food item. That includes steaks. Much better.
No.
Yes.
No.
Smoked items. I have had steaks on 4th of July with people.
I can believe it. I'm just saying it's not typically a 4th of July
for cheap people. Yes, you're right. But for people that have the money and want to enjoy it the capitalistic way that it's supposed to be enjoyed.
Okay.
Because we live in a capitalistic society where, that extra money spent is what's important. We're, increasing our economy and eating great food at the same time. I can't believe you don't agree with me.
I don't even want to have this episode anymore.
Okay. Is it the brats? Are you still hung up on that?
Yeah, you guys said I couldn't have brats, and that's when you literally lost me. I want brats. I don't want regular.
I mean, brats are better than hot dogs. Nobody disagrees with that, but
hot dogs. Like, anybody can get those.
All right. We don't have much of a culture over here. You can't go messing up the one thing we got.
No, I'm saying you can have brats. It's just you can't have brats when the argument is hamburger or hot dog. And a hot dog is like a basic ballpark frank that you get from the store versus, hamburger.
Hot dog. I mean, it's a processed meat that's put into a cylindrical size
so is a brat. So is sausage.
Right. So then you could have any of those.
So then let's just have andouille and gumbo. I mean, come on. Let's just...
where does it end, Patrick?
Where does it end?
That's what makes hot dog argument so strong. Because if you're just going to say hot dogs, the plain Jane, boring ones, then no. Like, nobody's going to pick it over a hamburger.
Yeah.
Okay? But if you're giving it all those other... things that should be in there, then okay, there's an argument to be had about having, brats or some kind of really andouille sausage, something good, something that's going to really change your life.
Yeah. What sides do you guys like?
At the job I work at, we serve all sorts of hot dogs, and it's not just 100% plain hot dogs. We've got dogs with jalapeno and cheddar in them. We've got dogs with cheddar just oozing out of them. We've got dogs with fire hot stuff. I mean, bacon cheddar. I mean, that's what makes a dog, is that you can put so many different things in it and it make it good. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Okay, argument then for you guys, or discussion,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to decide, because it may turn into an argument. Who knows? Ketchup or mustard on a hot dog?
Oh my god.
Both.
Yeah, both.
Instantly disqualified for both of y'all.
Both.
You never put ketchup on a hot dog.
Yeah, you
No, it's mustard only.
Ketchup is my favorite Powerade.
What?
They're the same thing. It's a fruit made into a liquid.
Yep.
Powerade and ketchup are the same thing.
Yep.
You drink ketchup.
If they made it
obviously.
into if they made it into a Powerade, I would drink it.
Ketchup flavored Powerade. All right, Coca-Cola. You guys hear that?
Okay, it makes sense.
You have two people that would drink that, so go ahead and Coca-Cola. Do whatever you want with that.
I'm sure there's a third person out there.
Yeah, well, he's not here.
There's a third person, even a fourth, a fifth, a sixth.
Yeah, but I mean,
dozens. There's dozens of you.
I like the way the bitter and the sweet mix together. So if you mix them together, ketchup and mustard are really good together. On a who doesn't have ketchup?
So tangent right here. Is it just me, or do things taste better when you mix them together? Like, and maybe you haven't, but like ketchup and mustard, you mix them together and then dip your corn dog in it. It tastes better than if you did them separately.
Mayo, ketchup,
peanut butter, and jelly. You mix them together before put on your sandwich. Different sandwich.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. You get jelly and some mustard. Yeah, that just tastes delicious.
Ooh, I've never tried that.
I'm not even enjoying myself right now.
No, Seth. I've had some mustard jelly and it was actually okay. So this doesn't necessarily negate the argument out. You just haven't had like one made by a real chef that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, you're not sophisticated enough to have that.
I am sophisticated. When I drink, my pinky goes up.
My pinky, I think, defaults to up always. It could just be because I've got, I don't know, pinkies. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, no, you missed it.
Mixing is better. And we can move on from this. And both is 100% the right answer. Mm-hmm. There's no one or the other. You're just crazy.
Yeah. Actually, so I was having a bowl of Frosted Flakes before the show started.
I had that this morning.
It is delicious. It's probably one of my favorite cereals. Do you guys have a particular cereal that you guys have a preference over?
Lucky Charms.
You know why?
Because my last name's O'Brien and Lucky Charms, well.
Oh, there you go.
It just makes it better, you know? I wish I could truly talk like an Irish guy. It would be freaking awesome. It makes it better, okay? Lucky Charms are the best cereal ever. Continue.
I mean, to each their own. But, I mean, my two top favorites are, well, I've got three that I don't know if I could choose between, but French Toast Crunch. So when they went away with it and then brought it back, I was one of the happiest people in the world. Next one is Oreo O's. Same thing. They took it away when I was a kid, and then they brought it back a couple years ago. Amazing. And then Reese's Puffs. Those are my three favorites.
Have you noticed that particular cereals actually take longer to eat than other cereals? Or is it just me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, what is it? Bran is obviously going to take like 20 minutes to chew each bite. But you mean just like Fruit Loops versus Fruity Pebbles?
Well, yeah, well, you say Bran, but I guess my thought instantly when I was talking about that was Frosted Flakes, for instance. I noticed take me longer to eat than Fruit Loops would.
I don't notice that.
So you've never actually based your morning routine on how much time you have to eat cereal? Well, so say you have to be somewhere and you need to eat breakfast.
Time to eat, so I always plan to have some time to eat the cereal.
The only time I eat breakfast is when I don't have anywhere to be.
Yeah.
So
other than that, I don't eat breakfast, or I eat something on the go, like a protein bar or something.
Yeah, I usually sleep through it, and I much prefer actually eating breakfast for like dinner.
Yeah, sames.
Like pancakes or waffles and sausage or bacon or whatever.
But I would like to add to the cereal thing is that while Lucky Charms is good, I actually prefer now, especially that I'm older, I actually prefer less sugary cereals. I find the sugary ones just too much now. They just like kind of like there's just too much sugar in them. They just like load them with like 58 billion milligrams of sugar, and you're just like,
Yeah.
Does not bother me at all.
So I like one of the ones I really like would be what is it called? I don't even the little like wheat ones, but they're the honey nut wheats.
Oh, it's not Wheaties?
It's like not Wheaties. God, I can't believe I haven't ate cereal in so long. I can't think of the name right now. They're like little square. They're like little squares, but they're kind of like Triscuits, Seth, except they're not. You know what I'm saying? Like they're the same. You know what
Like
I'm talking?
Life?
No.
Life is a game.
Like it's threaded together, and it's kind of harder to chew. Okay.
Okay,
but they're like
those
squares.
are aren't those?
What are those called?
Aren't those Wheaties?
The only thing I think of is
Wheaties, I
like
thought
Chex
were like
Mix, but that's not a cereal.
It's kind of like Chex Mix. Chex Mix is good. It's very.
It
close
is actually, yeah.
Maybe it is Wheaties. I don't know.
It probably is.
I like the honey nut one a lot. And then I also like granola with as a something that you eat and you just put a little bit of sugar on it, or if like it's baked with like honey or something. I just like the taste. It's not as strong a sweet. So I don't know. That's just me. I don't really like the cereals anymore that it's just straight sugar. Even Lucky Charms, I don't eat it like I used to. I don't know.
Somebody's getting old.
Yeah. Hey, so I know we did some Am I the Assholes last week. I think they were pretty well received. So I've got another one if you guys are interested, possibly.
Hit me with it.
Don't actually hit me. I don't really want to feel sad today, so please don't have it be as horrible.
Okay. The title is Am I the Asshole for Offering a Drink to a Girl in a bar and then not paying for it?
Okay.
All right. So here we go. Background: this guy says he's 23. He says a few months ago I was at a bar in Toronto with the guys, and I saw this really attractive girl. I decided to give it a shot. I approached her and we spoke for a bit, and then danced for a while. I offered to buy her a drink, and she gladly accompanied me to the bar. When I got there, I asked the bartender for a beer and whatever she wants. She promptly asks for 4 double shots of 1942. In my head, I'm thinking that's around $75 for a shot. I said, okay, what? And then she said that they were for her friends. She patted me on the back and then left. When the bartender came back, I slipped a $10 bill on the table and told him she'd be covering the shots and walked away. She got upset when she found out and yelled at me. Well, it turns out my mom works with her. They were talking and somehow it came up where my mom showed her a picture of me. The girl instantly recognized me and remembered my name. She told my mom about what I did. My mom then called me and said I'm a huge asshole and asked for me to send her the cost of the 4 drinks, which amounted to around $325 with tip. Am I the asshole?
No, not at all. He offered for one, he offered to buy her a drink, not her friends.
Drink.
Not her friends. So let's not even take into account the fact that she picked something extremely expensive off the menu. But she, because that's different. But even he didn't offer to buy her friends drinks, like straight up. And she clearly was just trying to drink for free that night, which happens a lot in bars for sure. But
it would be one thing if you chose something that was very a reasonable cost. Okay, a $40 bill, I'm gonna foot it.
You're not gonna buy, like, you're not buying for her friends. I'm like the other way, I guess. If she chooses something expensive that I offer to pay for, whatever, I paid for. But if she's like 4 drinks for all my friends and then I'm gonna like walk away with them, like no. She's the asshole. He is not. He should not have, and he better not have sent his mom that money either.
It seems like very self-entitled is what I get. Is that, I don't care if somebody offers to allow me, because I've been offered like, hey, I got your meal. It doesn't mean that when you go get the meal, you're just like, you know what? Thanks, Seth. I'm glad you said you got my meal. I'm gonna order the $70 steak with the glass of wine. I appreciate it, bro. No, that's not what you do to your friend, because they're your friend and they're somebody that you, no matter who it is, even if they're not a friend, like your boss is like, oh, I got your meal. You don't just go order the most expensive thing because your boss is paying for it. It's called decency and like having a little bit of self-respect and saying, I'm not going to lowball and just not get anything, but I'm also going to get something that's reasonable. I'm not going to go above. So when you start stepping into the realms of unreasonable, and I'm sorry, but if you order 4 shots, double shots of some super expensive liquor, and you're telling me it costs $300, he is well within his rights to refuse her. And the fact that she even thought that would be okay shows how self-entitled and bad of a person she is. Because even if you are going to do that, like, why would you ever rack up a tab like that on somebody that you just met, and that's just, it just feels like you're using them. You feel self-entitled because you gave them a little bit of your time or something. If you're not interested in the person, just like move on, But if you're willing, if you are, okay, cool. But you don't use somebody like that. That's like straight up just using.
I agree. I mean, I honestly feel like this might be the same girl from last week. And she's now trying to find someone else and she got broke up with.
Oh, maybe. Because this sounds real bad. There's no way to spin this. I would really like to see somebody argue that this is like.
Please do in the comments. I would love to have this conversation.
Because I will sit there with you and we will go through it, because that's just that's taking somebody for granted. That's abusing the power you've been given, right? Just because you are given a power doesn't mean that you just use it however you want to benefit yourself. That's just a bad willpower, bad show of character. It's definitely not gentleman or ladylike. So not wife material or dating material or anything material. It's a bad person. Like, I'm not interested. If somebody offered for me and they're like, hey, I got your drink, I'm going to be like, all right, give me something that I usually drink. So like $8 for a beer, whatever it is. I'm not going to go and be like, oh, well, I want to, the most expensive tequila shot you have on the bar.
And make it a double. She doubled all of them and then bought for her friends. Like, I mean,
it's like the same thing when you like are like, I'm doing something nice for somebody. Like, I've seen this where I work and somebody comes in and they're asking for something and somebody's like, oh, I feel sorry for you, I'm going to buy. Then they proceed to walk around the store and buy like $15, $20 worth of items. And you go, is that really?
Yeah.
Like, I get that they're helping you and you're in a hard time, but is that really the right thing you should do? Because you kind of have them by once they agree to do it, it would be rude for them to say, no, I'm not going to do this for you, right? Within a certain level. So for like $10, $15, you really kind of have them. So, but it's like, is it still the right thing to do? No. You shouldn't take advantage of someone.
Exactly. They are taking advantage of your generosity.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have another one I want to ask in a minute, but since you actually had talked about helping people, paying it forward, right? So like you go somewhere and say, hey, person in front of you bought your meal for you. And then they ask you, do you want to buy the person behind you's meal? And a while back, years ago, there was a story, and I don't know how many customers it was, but there was a Starbucks, and maybe where it was a thing where everyone was paying for the person behind them, their drink, and then one guy decided not to, and then he got called out for it. Do you guys remember that story at all?
I do.
Okay,
but that sounds like yikes, a whole situation. That sounds like a bad setup.
I mean, it's.
But I guess my question is are you or is he in that instance in the wrong for not continuing that? Because after a certain period, it's just like, okay, you're no longer doing this because you're being generous. It's now an obligation.
Right. The whole idea behind Pay It Forward, which came from that movie, right? Have y'all all seen the movie?
No.
Okay, Pay It Forward came from a movie. It's very famous and it ends very. It's a very good movie. You should totally go watch it.
Definitely worth it.
And the guy in he does things without wanting anything in return, and his only ask after he helps the people out or whatever is just pay it forward. Like do some when the moment feels right, when you when the moment feels right. When you pay it forward, okay? Like help somebody else out. I helped you today. When you feel like it's a good time and there's something that you feel really strong about, help somebody out and don't expect anything in return. That's the entire idea behind Pay It Forward. So if you're buying somebody's meal, you never expect them to buy anybody else's meal or return it. You just ask them, hey, at some point in your life when you're in a better position or whatever, pay it forward. Because somebody might not be in a place right now where they can really help somebody, okay, in a financial way. You could still pay it forward in different ways, like, go and help somebody do something that, like, work-wise, like go help somebody mow their lawn for free, or, it's not like you just have to give money away in order to do this, but take time out of your day to help somebody do something, like pull over and help somebody change their tire. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just paying forward. And the whole concept is if you pay forward, then you're spreading good. And every time you do that, somebody else is going to do it 3 times. That's the whole, that was the whole thing in the movie, was you do it 3 times. You just pay it forward 3 times. And if everybody paid it forward 3 times, imagine how much better the world would be.
Sounds like a pyramid scheme.
And it is a reverse funnel.
But no, I don't feel like somebody if everybody in line is paying for it. What if the guy, doesn't have enough to just pay for a $14 latte,
I mean, so if argument to that, if he was struggling with money, he should not have been at Starbucks, because that's something you can cut out in an instant. If you need a coffee, you can get a cheap coffee at any corner store. So he shouldn't have been at Starbucks if he didn't have the money. But then again, he in no way needed to. Like, he was not expected to. If the people in the window pressured him to, then they're doing wrong, in my opinion. Like, if they're saying, hey, someone paid for yours, will you pay for the person behind you? You're now putting them in a position of, seeming like an asshole or not. Like, you're putting pressure on someone to do something nice. It's no longer out of the kindness of their heart. And also, you don't know. What if there was a big ass 18-passenger van behind him, full of people, and you don't know what or they took 30 minutes to freaking order behind you, and you're just like, I don't know what they're getting. It's a gamble. It could cost you $100 at Starbucks easy.
I'd gone to Taco Bell a week or 2 ago, and there's a brief amount of time when you pull up to the ordering window. Well, I guess it's not really a window, the stall, whatever that you order the food from. And it has the total before it disappears, before they start taking your order, and it was like $76. Yeah. Like $76 at Taco Bell. What are you ordering? That's just
I don't know, but I mean, so it's a gamble, and he might not. For one, he just might not be really a pay it forward kind of person. He might not care enough. Yeah. But then also he might, have a wife who, if he spends any, like, budgets like crazy, and if he spends any more, because I've met people like that, they spend any more over the budget, it's going to turn into an argument. Like, I mean, you don't know the situation. It was not a requirement of him. He did not go out today going, I'm gonna buy someone else's stuff. Like,
actually, funny story. So a buddy of mine, a while back at work, we had gone to Whataburger for dinner, and we get to the window, and we have 2 separate orders. I've got an order, he's got an order. We get to the window, and the guy there tells me that the person in front of me had bought my meal. I think, oh, okay, that's that's really generous of them. He asks me, hey, do you want to pay for the person behind you's? Well, I figured, okay, why not? I'm assuming it's probably around the same price of whatever my meal is going to cost. No big deal. And so I say yes. I tell him yes. So he tells me the amount. I hand him my card. He scans it, hands it back to me, hands my food. And then we're waiting. He comes back to the window and says, hey, what's going on? I tell him, I said, hey, my friend here, we're waiting on his food. And, my buddy, he's got his card in his hand. He's waiting. He's ready to go. Well, I wound up buying my friend's lunch because he was the order after mine.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. It's just like the guy, I guess, at the window didn't know that because we had two separate orders. He assumed we had the one order, and I was paying for the car behind me.
For the person behind?
What's up?
Did the friend pay for the person behind?
I'm not gonna say.
Unbelievable. Terrible person.
I mean, but let's see. Whenever, like you said, that guy asked you to pay for it. How did you feel? What was your immediate thought when he said that?
I asked him how much it was.
Yeah, but I said not your immediate words. Your immediate thought. Whenever he said, "Do you want to pay for somebody?" You're now like, "I have to."
No,
like,
originally I thought no. But I asked him, I said, how much is it? And it was within like 25, 30 cents of my meal.
Originally, you were thinking no, and then you're like, I need to say something. I need to, because it would make me the asshole in this situation.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I've never had anyone do that for me, like pay my meal, right? So that's why initially I was like, well, no, but let me find out how much it is. Because if it's within so much of what I was going to spend anyways, why not? Whatever. I've never done this before. Probably won't ever again. But if it was some, okay, yeah, this is like $16, $17, $18, it's like, yeah, sorry, this isn't something I budgeted for. I only have like $9, basically. So, but no, I probably wouldn't do it again. So, all right, I have another "Am I the asshole" for you guys.
Okay.
This is another interesting one.
Oh God.
Am I the asshole for telling our family that my sister is a prostitute after she insulted my wife's disability?
What?
My wife.
There's levels of stuff here.
What?
All right, so my wife is paraplegic. She was when I first met her. It's from an accident a long time ago, but she's adapted well to it. I love her, and she's just as useful as someone who can walk. My sister, for some reason, has never liked my wife. She's always had some problem with her, whether she claims it's attitude or something else. I've talked to my wife about it, and she doesn't know why. And I've also talked to my sister about it, and she's never given me a straight answer on why she doesn't care for her. I've just accepted it until now. I had just accepted it until now, but not everyone else. But not. Okay, grammar.
English.
I know, right? I had just accepted it until now. Not everyone likes everyone else. Okay. And until now, my sister hadn't said anything rude about it. Now, my sister was a prostitute in college, and she claims she's just camming now. She doesn't have a job. She just does that. She told me because I found accidentally once. I'm just going to go ahead and quickly read the update at the bottom for that. It says that he was not on a campsite when he found out. He went to her apartment to surprise her with a present. This is before they met the wife, and she was with a guy. And he says she was with a John. So I'm going to throw that in there. Let's see. She doesn't have a job because she cams. She told me because I found out accidentally. She made me hide it to our family and claims that she has a job at her company near us. I was talking to my sister on the phone last week because she wanted me to fix her sink or at least look at it because her landlord wasn't doing anything about it. I had told her I didn't know when I could because I'd been remodeling one of our bathrooms, which has turned into a larger project than I originally
do.
Yeah, right. Which has turned into a larger project than I really had bargained for. I might just end up hiring someone to do it, honestly. My sister then, for no reason, made a comment about my wife. She said, why don't you just have her, being my wife who I'd said something to, make herself useful and help, or wait? She can't because of her disability. She said this mockingly as if being in a wheelchair, another wheelchair story, isn't a disability. I had the phone on speakerphone and my wife heard. She was pretty hurt by it, and I was beyond pissed off. I yelled at her and hung up. After consoling my wife a little bit, I decided to call her parents and tell them what my sister actually does for her job. They thanked me for telling them, and that was that. Well, my sister called me again and yelled at me, saying her whole family is calling, telling her to stop, and staging an intervention for that. I told her that she should have thought about that before acting like a bitch to my wife, and then I hung up. It's been a few days, and now I'm thinking I went a little nuclear on her. At the time, I felt like yelling at her wasn't enough, but now I think maybe yelling would have been enough. Am I the asshole?
Ooh.
Yes. So yes, strong asshole. Because it was just it was vindictive, just wanting to get back at her. Which I mean, she also is an asshole in this situation. I mean, clearly, but the fact that he did that is just says a lot about his character, in my opinion. Very just vindictive and spiteful. Just so I mean, I would have been super angry in his position as well, but also I don't feel like that would have even popped in my head to do. Like, oh well, since you pissed me off, I'm gonna call our parents and tell them what this secret that I've known for a while. It would just been like, you know what, screw you. I am, we no longer are going to communicate. I don't like you anymore. You can't say those things about my wife. It would not have been, I would just been like cut off. So I think yes, he's an asshole. My opinion.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's like I feel like he is an asshole because like what Seth said, he's while she did say something that's out of line, and his entire thing was backing up that, leading up to it, he's trying to like make himself on a moral high ground. That's his argument. So the entire post is created as an argument to prove that it's not as bad as it seems. But if you take it on face level, somebody did wrong to you. So instead of addressing the wrong and saying, hey, that wasn't right, you just did wrong back to them. So you're no better than them. That's what it really falls down to. Whether he meant to, he got emotional and did it out of there, you still just wrong them back. Doesn't matter that they're not doing what they should be doing. I mean, although as far as camming goes or anything like that, there's a lot of people that debate that as long as you're doing it and you want to do it, then it's your, right to do what you want to do with your body and your time, So if you want to be a porn star or whatever kind of level you do, go ahead and do it. It's your choice. Nobody else should be able to force you one way or another whether you can or cannot do something, as long as you're not harming others. I mean, that's like my belief in general. Be who you want to be as long as you don't hurt others in the process. It's okay. But if you're hurting somebody just because they hurt you, which I mean, I'm totally guilty of this, where I got angry and said things I shouldn't have said to people out of anger. But to me, it's like I said it to the person that made me angry. Okay, so like I got mad at somebody, and then we're going back and forth, and we say things that aren't right. But then to go to a third party and just completely destroy them and trash on them, or let something out like that, that's not something that obviously she didn't want to know, because obviously there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to think the way I think about it and are going to be very judgmental and angry about the whole situation and being a cam girl, whatever. So he knew that he was going to hurt her back. So it's a premeditated thing now. It's no longer I'm acting out of emotion in the moment. I'm acting out of emotion because I'm angry, and now I'm premeditatively after being a few minutes, I'm still angry.
Yeah, I mean, he said he even took he consoled his wife before doing it. So it's not even like
Right.
he just they were in a conversation and he spit it out with his parents there. He went out of his way.
Right. So he premeditatively went out of his way to harm somebody just because they harmed him, which makes him no better than the person that harmed him, in my humble but correct. And so he is an asshole.
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate here. So the thing with marriage, right? When you get married to somebody and it's a lifelong commitment, you're with that person, they are now your family. And there's a certain part of you that now cares about that person more than your actual family. I'm not going to defend him and say he was in the wrong or the right. I'm not going to defend the sister because I don't think there's any way you can paint her in a good picture. Yeah, he I don't know. Maybe he thought retaliation was the only way he could defend his wife's honor, and that's what he went after. By basically exposing what his sister had done for money in a way that would shame her to the family, like she had shamed his wife in front of her, being the wife. So I don't necessarily agree with the way he went about doing it, but I could see the reasoning behind it.
I mean, I think we can all see the reasoning behind it, but it doesn't make it sound.
I would have been angry as well, but as they say, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Right. You have the chance to take the moral high ground and make yourself, be the one who was wronged and handled it properly, or you have the chance to stoop down to their level and become no better, and even in a way minimize what they said because you just immediately came back with this, and so now you both are down here. But if you stay on the high ground, you just be like, well, you were insanely wrong, and this is why I didn't do anything. It was 100% you.
I expect better from you. Like, this isn't something that you should have done. I want an apology. And move on with your life. And, hold them accountable for it. Instead of holding them accountable for it, now you just made it a mess where it's even more messier than it was to begin with, So it's now it's just a big whole debacle, and there's all sorts of problems now that are going to arise from that. So you've done nothing to solve the problem, and you've lost your, I guess, your innocence, basically. So now you're guilty of a crime too. So you're now accusing somebody of, they did something wrong, and you did the same thing. You did something wrong that hurt somebody's feelings. So you're mad about somebody hurting your wife's feelings. Then you hurt the person that hurt the person's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're the person that did what the person that you were mad at did. So you're not.
And I mean,
anything as them.
And also in his actions, he brought in his parents as well, who now are going to have a damaged relationship. So more people are involved and hurt in this situation.
So all you've done is create and spread more hurt instead of just allowing the initial hurt and saying, hey, we need to solve that. That was screwed up. What are we going to do to make that right? You need to never talk to her like that. Have a serious conversation with somebody, whatever the problem is, and say, this isn't right what you're doing. This is why it's wrong. This is why I'm not okay with it. And, if we don't need to be amenable anymore, then that's what it's going to take. But these are the steps that I want in order to make it right, and then move on with your life once they do that. And if they're not willing to, then you move on with your life anyways. But you don't throw somebody's name under the dirt just because you're mad at them. I don't think that's ever going to solve anything I know for a fact it won't ever solve anything. It'll just make it worse.
Yeah.
More people will get hurt.
So I think we can all agree. Both of them were assholes.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that's why I chose it, because it was. I don't think anyone. And the only person that. No, there is no one that comes out on top. It's just a mess. Yeah.
Life still hurt. Feelings still hurt. Sister still hurt. The guy shamed himself too, in a way, so he's hurt now. The parents are hurt because they found out an inconvenient truth that they didn't want to know, which maybe was good for them to know, but it's not his place to break it to him. It would be something that she needs to tell them, because it's her choice to make, to say whether and come to terms with that, and they can come to terms with that. But it's all wrong. The whole way it happened is wrong. So you're just.
I agree.
2 wrongs do not make a right, okay?
But 3 do.
2 rights do make a left, though. Or is it 4?
3 rights make a left.
See, it's homeschooled. It's
3 lefts make a right. No,
that's a homeschool math.
Anyways. So I've got a question. Just an interesting little question. Nothing quite thought-provoking. I feel like we've gotten into enough digging into stuff this episode already. So you're sitting in first class flight. I can't talk. What would
Hey, join the
be?
club. Join the club.
Yeah, I mean, it's reading hard.
It can be.
So you're sitting in a first class flight. What's a question? What would you ask the person next to you?
Ooh,
Like,
wow.
Well, is it because they look interesting, or what would prompt me, I guess, to ask that? And the reason behind that is
I'm
because usually I don't want to be bothered or bother people on a plane, but maybe there's a
well. I mean, you're in first class, so more than likely the people around you are successful. So what would you ask them? Like, I mean, they could be. I mean, you don't know anything about them. They could be a movie star. They could be just an extremely successful businessman. They could. You never know. So
well, I guess the obvious question is, what do you do for a living? But I feel like maybe depending on how they're dressed could determine the kind of question you're going to ask them. So if they're dressed more professionally than someone that's dressed casually, maybe you have this inclination about them. You kind of have an idea as to um, maybe not why they're successful or what they do, but I feel like that may be why you question what they do or why they're there. I'm guessing maybe that, or where are you going? Those are only two that I got, I think.
all right, cool. What you got, Patrick?
Oh man, I'm a very when it comes to talking to people that I don't know, I usually just go out on the fly. So to say that I would ask one thing or another, I usually try and be a lot more creative about how I go about it. So ask something that I always try and ask people, especially people I don't know. I try and bring them in either with something that bring us in common with each other. Maybe I just make a statement about something that they're, about them, something that interests me, and I just make a statement and see if they fly off of it and they answer back. I don't know. It's hard to. I'm pretty good with talking with people, but to say that I have one like question that I would ask somebody, even in a plane, and that's the question I would go to every time. It's like, I'm not going to ask what they do as a job because I feel like it's cliche and it puts them in a box. I'm not going to ask them where they're going because, again, I might at some point during the conversation, but I'm not going to start it. It would be something along the lines like, say, say they ordered wine or whatever, and they get wine, and I might make a comment about like what's going on with their wine or why I like it or dislike it or something like that. Or have you ever tried this kind of brand of something to do with that? Or you know, um, I don't know, see what they're reading, a book that they're reading, something that they're doing. You make more comments based off of stuff that you pick off that wouldn't be the most obvious things. But that's just because I'm a complicated person. So I probably should just go with like more straightforward answers. But I've always tried to, when I talk to people, try and ask them different questions than somebody else's because I feel like it makes it more interesting and more creative, and maybe they'll be more responsive due to me not asking them. But sometimes I feel like it throws them off because they're not expecting to be asked a question that's different, so they don't have an answer right away. So sometimes you can make it awkward with people if they're not a really good communicator or they're a very strong introvert because like you dig too deep for them and then they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." You
Yeah,
know?
definitely.
I want to get with you on your answer real quick, Seth, because I'm assuming you have one. I want to go ahead and discard everything I have previously stated. I have a new answer. If I had sat next to someone, right? If I sat next to someone on first class, I think that the first question I'd ask is, "Are you going to finish that bag of peanuts?"
They don't do peanuts in first class. Wow, dude.
Shows how much I know.
Well, they also just don't do peanuts on planes anymore because of allergies.
I had peanuts the other day.
You have to order them specifically
You were on a plane,
on a
Patrick?
plane.
Never mind, it was pretzels.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot, for the past couple of years, I've done a lot of flying for work, and I feel like I like flying. I really do. But
Your arms don't get tired?
But do you?
Never.
For me, I usually put my headphones in and ignore,
I watch a movie or a TV show on the screen.
unless something really sparks my interest about the
'Cause
person.
I only fly with one airline because they cater to everybody and make them as comfortable as possible.
And which airline is that? Just
Um,
tell the world.
Delta,
Delta Airlines.
Delta.
You hear that, guys?
Delta for sure.
That cares.
The majority of their
Cared.
airplanes have screens at every seat, and they're just, I don't know, the customer service I've gotten through them, because I mean I've flown with most everybody out there that at least does intercontinental flying. So I mean, some of the international people probably not, but American Airlines, horrible customer service from my multiple experiences. Spirit is Spirit. I'm missing somebody, one of the other major airlines, but they were just all right. United or whatever.
Southwest, United,
Southwest. They were just like their planes weren't anything special. Their customer service was good enough, but I mean Delta, I've run into issues with them and they fix them immediately, and then their planes are always more comfortable. So that's just where I fly. But
haven't some of the plane companies actually removed first class, or they don't have them as an option?
Yeah, some of them don't.
Delta still has it. They have first class and they have business preferred, which is like you're in between. But
there's definitely a huge disparity, and it is like for a tall person like myself, like riding on certain planes is 100% an awful experience.
Yeah, if you're riding coach, it's the worst. They're not designed for people that are either bigger or taller.
Trick to that though,
in the chair, it's actually insane.
Trick to that though is sitting farther back in the airplane, which I don't know. Again, Delta lets you pick your seat. So if you pick a seat farther back in the airplane, you are less likely to have somebody next to you because people don't want to. You have to wait longer to get out of the plane, and so most people try and sit in the front. But the back, most of the time I ride in the back or somewhere behind half. I don't have anyone next to me, so legroom is not an issue. And also, the tail of the airplane is the safest place to be if you're afraid of flying and crashing.
Why is that?
Huh? Because, when you hit something or you go down, you're going to go down nose first. So the back part is going to be, at the end of the impact. It's true. It's facts. Look it up.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You'd probably still die, but I mean, sense.
It depends. If you run into a mountain, probably. If you're on a controlled descent, that is just not where you're supposed to be, and so you're going to hit nose first. But your pilot's doing everything to slow it down. Odds are you'll be okay.
Yeah, there's a statistic that says 9 out of 10 people die last if they're at the back of the plane. Look it up. It's true.
They die last.
Anyways, but I have two answers.
Remember, regardless, because you're going to pass out because of the G's that you would experience in a wreck like that, and the lack of oxygen and all sorts of stuff. So most people, unless you've been trained in how to maintain your composure under those and how to keep your breathing correct, you're just gonna pass out and you'll die asleep. So.
Yeah, Seth, what would you talk about? What would you talk about if you happen to sit next to someone in first class?
So I have two answers. My first answer.
Hold on. No. What's your second answer?
My second answer is.
What's your second answer?
This is the most generic version. So, it's just the best conversation starter in my opinion. Just go with basic business or pleasure, because it opens the door to most people that I've asked that question to will then start telling you exactly what it is, either whether it's what they're doing or where they're going. Like I'm on vacation and we're on our way to, Florida, or I'm working. I work for this company. Like they just start, if they want to talk to you. They put things out there for you if you just ask that open-ended question. But the one that I would prefer to ask, like if I was sitting in first class, but it only works with, I guess, someone a little bit older. But I'd want to ask them, what's a good life lesson that you'd like to share? Because you can pretty much assume they're successful, and then they've been through a lot in life, and so I feel like they'd have a lot of knowledge, and also to be successful, you generally have to be more extroverted, have the ability to talk to anybody. So they probably just can easily jump into conversation and want to have that conversation. So that's what I'd want to know, because you can always learn from people.
Yeah.
But it all would that one's not something you can just ask anybody. If you're sitting next to somebody who's like in their 20s or 30s, I'm sure they've learned some things, but they're not gonna just be a fountain of knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, the big key is you have to find a way to break the ice. If you can break the ice, doesn't matter who the person is, unless you're a terrible talker. But for me, it's like, if I can break the ice with somebody, I can always get somebody to talk to me. Whether they think I'm the coolest person or not, in the end, whatever, but we'll always have a conversation. The hardest part is the beginning. Once you break the ice with somebody, though, and you can at least find some sort of common ground, even if it's as stupid as like when you're walking into the plane and you sit down next to them and you're having to put your bags up and stuff, just saying like a little snide remark or something about how the boarding went or anything. Like once you break the ice and you make it like a normal, like you've already talked to them so they know that you're willing to talk, a lot of people will open up, unless they're just 100% truly not interested in talking.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, I've had conversations with people when I was getting off the plane just because like we ran into each other and said something and I was like, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, and blah blah blah. And then from there we had like a 5-6 minute conversation while we're waiting for everybody to get off the plane. It's like, if I'd started that earlier, maybe we would have talked the entire plane ride. But it's because I didn't break the ice, so then they just see you as this singularity and they don't want to like disturb you because they don't want to be rude or something. Like people have this weird perception that you're going to be mad at them if you say anything to them or whatever.
Yeah, I have this this one flight. It was about an hour and a half, 2-hour flight. The person I was sitting next to was terrified. And so I spent the entire flight talking to her, even though I had a movie I wanted to watch, because I watched the first half of it on my way to where I was going. I was going to watch the second half on my way back. But she was terrified, so I spent the entire time just talking to her to keep her distracted. And by the end of it, she was just like, "Thank you, I appreciate it." Like, because she wanted to talk, and I saw that in like her mannerism. So I'm like, all right, I guess we're gonna talk this time.
I guess the real question is, Seth, did you ever get to finish the movie?
Yes, I did. Unfortunately, I was
worth
actually
waiting?
upset. No, I honestly,
okay.
I hated the movie.
Wow.
So It was probably a better use of your time talking to the scale.
Yeah, but I also still finished the movie because I don't like not finishing movies, but I definitely hated it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I guess if you guys have taken anything away from this episode, it is that the hardest part is always the beginning. So,
part is anything really.
Life
lesson to be learned there.
I don't know. The beginning of life is pretty simple.
Yeah, for the most part. Well, we're going to wrap this up. We hope all you guys had a great 4th of July weekend. I know we did. So we'll keep on keeping on, as cliche as that is. So 16 and Patrick, I think you said at the beginning, 19 is going to be the episode.
Huge episode.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be great, guys. It's going to be
some would say the greatest of all time.
Some would say the greatest episode of all time.
Yeah.
huge episode coming. Huge.
Just huge. Absolutely big.
Absolute huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well,
great episode.
That's going to be it for us today.
Episode.
Episode 16, The Talking Guys. We'll see you next week.
All right. Peace.
Have a good one.